Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. A Brooklyn mother and two of her children wound up losing their lives when they were struck by a car driven by a woman who had multiple driving infractions on her record.
At 5:36, a heartbreaking scene in Midwood, Brooklyn. A mother and her two children were hit and killed while crossing the street, and a third child was critically hurt. The driver who caused the crash has since been charged. Let's get to Eyewitness News reporter Phil Tate live for us in Borough Park at the hospital where that child is at this moment. And Phil, I do want to ask you, because police say that this woman who caused the crash should have never been behind the wheel in the first place.
Yeah, Miriam Urimi actually had 93 previous violations and $10,000 in unpaid fines. Well, this morning, that 4-year-old boy and the fourth victim following Saturday's crash is recovering this morning. But the harsh reality is that when he wakes up, that his mother, along with his two siblings' lives, were cut far too short. I want to get straight to some surveillance video right now, which is now a last memory of this family's final steps, walking to a relative's house before mother Natasha and her daughters, 8-year-old Diana and 5-year-old Deborah, were killed. Police have charged the driver behind the wheel, 32-year-old Miriam Urimi, with multiple counts of manslaughter, criminally negligent homicide, and assault in the second degree, and a slew of other charges following her speeding vehicle slamming into an Uber with passengers, including 3 children who are all okay, thankfully, and then hit this family before that vehicle flipped over. Now, yesterday, loved ones and the Hasidic community said their final goodbyes, all a part of the painful reality that this family is gone forever. The 3 victims' remains were flown back to Israel, where they will be buried today. While some reflect on their lives, lawmakers are outraged by the driver's actions.
With 93 violations, with $10,000 of unpaid fines.
And a suspended license.
With a suspended license, that is correct, yes.
Now, police say the 32-year-old who was speeding should have never been behind the wheel. She's currently hospitalized, undergoing a psych evaluation at Bellevue Hospital. Later today, State Senator Andrew Granades and other lawmakers will be calling for legislation aiming to prevent another incident like this from ever happening again. We are live outside of Maimonides Medical Center in Borough Park. I'm Phil Tate, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
In this alleged incident, Miriam Urimi, a Brooklyn wigmaker, was driving her Audi A4 at over 50 miles an hour when she was looking to make a turn into Ocean Parkway. And as she was driving down Ocean Parkway, she wound up driving so fast that she slammed into a Toyota Camry that was an Uber before hitting 9 people in the crosswalk and wound up taking the life of a mother and 2 of her children, and leaving one of her children in critical condition. Now, after Miriam Urimi wound up driving into these 9 people, she was taken into custody, where she faces 3 counts of second-degree manslaughter, 3 counts of criminally negligent homicide, and 4 counts of second-degree assault. And as she's been taken into custody, she was taken to Bellevue Hospital for a mental health evaluation after she told first responders she was possessed and had the devil in her, and that she was being pursued by the CIA. And she's been taken to Bellevue Hospital for a psych evaluation before she's made to go see a judge. Now, the NYPD see the alleged behavior of Miriam Urimi as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of Miriam Urimi's alleged behavior, it fits the pattern and profile of women in crisis that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis. And it's clear to me that Miriam Urimi has been a woman in crisis for many years, and has been a woman in crisis because, according to some reports, she basically was, again, assaulted by a police officer and got a settlement with the NYPD for over $2 million. And ever since then, she's basically been a woman in crisis who's been enabled by the system of white supremacy, to continue participating in a series of irresponsible and reckless and egregious behaviors. Because as she's gotten this Audi A4, she's gone out here and racked up over 93 traffic violations on her vehicle, including 20 speeding tickets and $10,000 in fines. And those violations include tickets for speeding through a school zone, again, showing how dangerous this woman is, getting 20 speed camera tickets and 5 red light tickets, showing no regard for anyone's safety as related to this vehicle. And she was allowed to do this mainly because of her white privilege, possibly due to her religious beliefs, and was allowed to do this without any sort of accountability until things came to this tragedy. Basically, this woman was enabled by our criminal justice system to continue on participating in these crimes because she's a white female, and that white female basically used her white privilege to go out here and again be a danger on the road, enabled because many of those individuals in white supremacy wanted to give her a pass because she is young and attractive instead of holding her accountable. And because they refused to hold her accountable, sadly a mother and 2 of her daughters have passed away. A boy is in critical condition and has no mother or any of his sisters, all because the NYPD and the Department of Traffic Violations did not go out here and put a boot on this woman's vehicle. Now, I find it interesting that if a black person were to have at just about maybe 2 or 3 speeding tickets and several moving violations, their vehicle would have either had a boot on that vehicle or that vehicle would have been towed and impounded. Unfortunately, since Miriam Yaramy has the complexion for protection, she's been given a pass, and as she's been given a pass, she's a terror on the road, and this terror on the road basically wants us to believe that she was possessed and had the devil inside of her, or she was being pursued by the CIA. What she's trying to do is trying to put a mental illness excuse as a reason for the crime she's committed. But if she's out here again getting multiple violations, that shows that she is of sound mind. Because if you are of sound mind enough to go out here and again rack up 93 traffic violations, including 20 speeding tickets, someone should have again basically either taken the keys from this woman, or the city should have stepped in, and law enforcement should have stepped in, but they didn't step in because, again, this was a white female who has the complexion for protection. And in our gynocentric society, white females are given a pass for irresponsible, reckless, and egregious behaviors. And what's sad here is that, again, children wound up losing their lives because people didn't want to hold this white woman accountable, for her inability to take responsibility behind the wheel. Again, this woman should have had her license revoked years ago. I mean, anybody black or anybody else would have basically had their vehicle taken away at over $10,000 in fines. They would have confiscated their vehicle, and they would have gone out here and then definitely done something if a black person speeded through a school zone. I mean, this woman was putting children in jeopardy, because when you speed through a school zone, you're putting children's lives at risk. But this woman has no regard for anybody's life, and again has even less accountability. She wants to say that she had the devil in her and that she was being pursued by the CIA, but I don't believe that at all. No, I believe that this woman was basically, again, someone who never was made to take accountability. Now, she says that she was, again, violated by this officer at 14, but if she was, again, at this case, you would think she would have received some mental health counseling. She would have received some mental health counseling to give her some help. But when it comes down to women like this, again, nobody takes accountability for them, and they are not made to take accountability for themselves. And sadly, what happens is that as they get pass after pass, what happens is these women go out here and again continue to escalate their behavior as related to, again, their criminal behavior, because no one sets a boundary for them. And since nobody sets a boundary for these types of females, what they do is continue to believe they can get away with doing whatever they please until they do something so egregious that they basically, people have to look at them and say, either we have to put this person inside of a mental health facility, or we have to put this person in a penitentiary. And the only place I believe that this woman is going to go is a penitentiary, because this whole excuse that she's giving about being possessed and having the devil in her and being pursued by the CIA, that's just basically her trying to talk her way out of a prison ward, and again trying to go out here and talk her way out of a prison sentence for the heinous crimes she's committed. She's basically been, again, committing crimes with this car, using this car basically as a way to get away with what she wants to do, as related to not following our traffic laws. And now that that car has been turned into a weapon, it wound up taking the lives, again, of innocent children, taking the lives of innocent children and a mother and a son who will never see his mother again. And sadly, this is what happens, again, when you have a woman out of control and a woman gone out of control and nobody regulating this woman's behavior. I mean, this woman, again, she got a lawsuit for $2 million, but you would think she would go out here and get herself some counseling. She would have got herself some counseling, and again, understood that if you're not competent to be driving this vehicle. Now, I find it interesting, she says that, again, at 14 this happened, but she got this license possibly at 16, and I'm wondering, again, how she got all these traffic violations. And again, nobody in the Department of Transportation, again, the DOT, again, found this vehicle which has a vanity plate and said, look, let's find this car and impound this car, because this person, again, has $10,000 in fines. Now, some people will say, oh, it's because of bail reform. And again, this basically reinforces the argument of why we need bail reform to be revoked, because it's clear that the people who were supposed to be given a chance don't know how to take responsibility for themselves. And sometimes you just have to take a person into custody if they don't know how to take responsibility for themselves. And that's what is the case here with this woman, who basically, again, took the lives of this mother and two children. Again, this woman should have been locked up, and again, should have been locked up because she's driving this car recklessly. She's driving this car in an egregious fashion. She's putting lives of children in danger. And again, because white supremacy wants to give her a white privilege because she's young and attractive, they don't see the danger they're putting other people in. And that's the saddest part about the woman crisis here, is that simps in the criminal justice system, again, gave this woman a pass. And as they gave this woman a pass, she basically put the lives of others in jeopardy, all because these men did not want to be men and hold a woman accountable for, again, driving this car in an egregious fashion. I mean, this is what happens, again, when men don't stand up and be men. They wind up making life dangerous for everyone because they won't hold a woman accountable. And since they didn't hold this woman accountable for her woman crisis, she caused chaos in the streets. She caused chaos in the streets with this vehicle, caused chaos all around, caused chaos, again, that basically, again, destroyed the lives of others. And again, this woman was a clear and present danger, that should have been dealt with, but wasn't dealt with because we in America don't want to deal with the man crisis or the woman crisis. We don't want to deal with the crisis in this country as related to women out here, women not understanding that they have to follow the law or follow the rules. And that's the sad part about this whole tragic situation. This woman basically caused chaos, and again caused a family to wind up losing a mother and two of their daughters. And again, this woman, again, wanted to take no accountability for her crimes, wanted to say that it was mental illness, and I don't believe it was mental illness. I believe what's happening here is, again, an irresponsible, reckless woman who should have never been behind the wheel, but was allowed behind the wheel because our society is in crisis. And because our society is in crisis, this is why we've got clear and present dangers driving down the street instead of having their vehicles impounded and taken away from them. Now, if you want to learn how to identify the behavior of dysfunctional women in crisis, and help someone in your life, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me make more videos about The Woman Crisis, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.